top 10 greatest players. Let's talk about it. This is going to be a two-part video series talking about my takes on who I believe should be in the top 10 greatest, given the 31 current nominees. I don't have to go into detail exactly into what went down and how that was resolved, but if you know, you know. Let's get to it real quick. If you don't know who it is, then you're watching this video with this bald stranger talking to you. What's up, Leo here at your service. I am an MPL Philippines talent, an M Series mainstay, and an Mlbb international caster. So these are my opinions and my insights on who I think should be in the top 10 greatest, at least, again, in my own personal opinion, having seen a lot of these players in the real, in the flesh, achieve greatness. And I actually chose at least one rep from each major country or region in the nominees. And this is in no particular order. Like, one is not greater than the last, nor is the last greater than the first. They're all equally contributing, and if you have any violent reactions or any objections, kayo na bahala, all right? You put it in the comments, let me know where I went wrong, what I got wrong, and then let's have a discussion, all right? I actually read out comments from previous videos, so if you'd love to, I would love to, comment down below, and like and subscribe if you're enjoying this kind of content. Follow me on social media as well, at LeoCastsPH. Let's get to it. Honorable mentions, how about we start there? Number one, King and the Queen, Oh My Venus and Wise. There are multiple clips of me from all over social media over the past few years of content that we've done for the league and on our own channels. They changed the game. No doubt, they changed the game. Mechanics-wise, just technical prowess, shot calling, I think number one, especially for the Queen. Multi-time MPL champion, world champion, SEA Games gold medalists. It's all there. Yun na yun, all right? So if only things fell the way they could have or they would have, they definitely would be there. I don't know if, you know what, fair to say, they would each have their own slot because they are a duo, V-wise, but they've both done amazing things individually that you cannot discount. So that's my number one honorable mention. Number two would be, this one is, I don't know if y'all Indonesians agree with me, all right? Serumpun, you know, my Indonesian brothers and sisters. I wanted someone from the older guard of MPL Indo. I wanted someone who was from the silver age, again, from my perspective, wherein we were a growing esport and we had a world championships, but there was a ways to go. But this guy, he held it down, he made noise, and he won the very first world championships, and he put EVOS Legends on the map. Didn't win MVP, but he was definitely someone we all remembered, and someone who actually helped build the scene despite retiring, and is just an overall, how do I say, entertaining figure, regardless. I've had the pleasure to work with him and have a few good times with him, and just an overall cool guy. I think Donkey should be here. Not so sure if he fits the criteria, if you know what I'm saying, but yeah, Donkey is part of World. Donkey has been working behind the scenes as well. Donkey's a amazing personality. He's funny as hell. That's my second honorable mention, right? If you're talking about greatest in and out of the game, man's won championships, man's actually affected Mlbb zeitgeist, not just in his country, but around the world. So that's my honorable mentions. Let's get into the official list here. Again, this is just part one of a two-part video. So I'm going to do 5 and 5, given this is my take on the top 10 greatest. Let's go to the first one. It's the best in the world. It's the young GOAT, Carl Tizzy. The only, currently, as of the recording of this video, two-time M Series world champion with two different teams, different teammates, two different countries, two different generations, I'd say, of Mlbb esports. Over the span of 5 years, he's been playing professionally for a majority of that. What else can I say? What else can I say? As a personality, Carl Tizzi's got it. He has gone from young prodigy to the shining beacon of what you can achieve years down the line. And he's grown before our very eyes. And deep inside, he's still that feisty kid. He's still that aspiring kid who used to borrow phones just to play, and now he's here. He's on top of the world. It's sad that Echo didn't get to qualify for M5, but Carl's already got 2 world championships. He's ahead of the game currently. And that's something that also reminds me of why Carl Tizzi is so amazing. He has such a sharp wit about him. There was this quote that he brought out prior to M5, if I'm not mistaken, is he was asked by media, Carl, what do you have to say about people who say you're already past your prime? Carl Tizzi said something to the effect of, oh yeah, no, I'm just letting everyone else catch up to me. That and the whole Irad debacle in season 11 in the playoffs, Mara Aquino asked him, Carl Tizzi, finally, you're a champion again. What do you have to say? And Carl Tizzi's very first response, first words out of his mouth, straight after winning that series against Blacklist 4-0, rest well, Irad. Man's won an MPL championship, and his first words, rest well, Irad. I think that's the most impressive thing about Carl Tizzi for me, is that deep inside he's still just a kid, and deep inside we all want to find that mix of just feistiness and the skill to back it up. And that's what Carl Tizzi represents to me. So he's my first greatest player in the M Series, 5th anniversary. All right? Number 2, if Carl Tizzi is the kid, this is the idol ng mga kids. I'm talking about Few. Kapitan Few, homies won multiple MPLs. Homies played throughout all generations of Mlbb esports so far. Got around the world, literally in 2023 alone, went around the world, winning everything. And now he's on his way to playing for his 2nd world championship. What can I say? He's moved roles. He's both been a leader and a follower. And what's so cool about Few is he's, number one, super soft-spoken. He's just a nice guy. Overall, he's just a nice guy. He's so consistent as well as a personality. He as well, like Carl Tizzi, grew before our eyes. For those of y'all who don't know, Few is actually younger than you think. Few is younger than you think, and now he's engaged, about to get married, about to play the year of his career here, you know, after going around the world, now trying to win the world championship on home soil. Few's amazing. Few is, I don't have to list out his achievements, like you already know what that is, but that's it. He's just, I guess, I use this term a lot, especially to describe AP Bren, but he's one of the reasons why that team has that identity in my head. Why that's the brand is he's a pure athlete. Few is a pure athlete. He's my 2nd in the top 10 greatest. Moving on. If Few has a level of consistency through the years in his personality and his commitment and his drive to achieve, when you're talking about consistency in the Land of Dawn, no one comes close to Agent Zero. No one comes close to Edward Balboa. No one comes close to Abun Jingjing. This young man, the very first inductee into the Hall of Legends after the Pilot 10, Pilot 11 if you're counting Manjin Faldas, at every point in Blacklist's run as a team in the MPL, whether that be pre-franchise or, you know, current modern age, Edward has always been a performer. Edward has held it down in every way, shape, or form. Whoever his teammates are, you can rely on Edward to be an anchor. And now, again, with new teammates at an all-time young roster, if I'm not mistaken, like, I don't need to do the math, but it's evident that Edward now shares a lot of that burden of pushing forward, doing good things for his team because of just the sheer mechanics. So here now you come into Edward's macro, Edward's intelligence, Edward's genius, which I was a witness to. Not just calling his matches, winning championships over and over and over again, but as a person, right? As a young man. In MSC 2021, we were in a bubble. And I got to spend some time with Edward and Oheb because they would come over to our rooms to hang out after broadcast, right? So once training was done, once the matches were done, once the day was done essentially, they would unwind with us, the casters. And some of those nights in MSC, we would actually play party games. And one of the games was Werewolf, which is a social deduction game. I was a witness to Edward and Oheb's actual genius out of the game. They had such a good grasp of logic and deduction and just reading a room that they would almost always win games single-handedly because of how they were able to connect the dots like that. So I know Edward is more than just his mechanics in game. Edward is a genius. And Edward is an anchor. Edward is worthy of being part of my top 10 greatest. And maybe yours too. Let's move on to another young man from Bataan. This is my fourth pick in my first half of my top 10 greatest. This man is the prime example of what an import could do in terms of affecting the scene and the atmosphere that he's brought into in the context of the modern era of Mlbb. And what he has done is going to be very difficult to follow up. It's going to be very hard to replicate what Kyrie has done as an import. Imagine this, first season as an import, wins, gets MVP. A year in, wins another championship, even upsets the whole ecosystem and wins an MSC. And y'all be spouting Kyrie esports, but I'd like to respectfully disagree. Kyrie's great. Kyrie's amazing, yes. But what's most impressive for me is that he's able to do what he does with his team. It's as important that the team works with him. Maybe that's why other imports aren't as effective as they are Kyrie, because he works well with his team, and that's just as important as your own individual mechanics, and Kyrie's able to leverage both. So the next time y'all think about it, don't compare Kyrie just to the other Indonesians. Compare how the other imports work. And this is not to knock our other imports doing God's work in all sorts of MPLs and countries all around the world. No, this is more about just how amazing Kyrie is and how he redefines what being a successful import is and how he's ushering in the next age of the era of Filipino dominance. My last top 10 greatest player nominee, at least for my personal list, is not a Filipino, all right? It's actually a player that you may have polarizing opinions on. He might be a player that has pushed your buttons the wrong way, or, based on recent events, actually seems more human and vulnerable than one might think. But you can't deny that Mlbb actually held Mlbb esports in the West by the palm of his hands for a majority of the past couple of years. After breaking out, after M3, y'all know Mlbb was real. Y'all must have heard of Mlbb's name prior to even that World Championship, right? I personally have, in a past life, casting other games. I've seen Mlbb, I've seen him work, but what he's done at M3, what he and BTK did, would not be possible if not for his own personal drive, mechanics, and dedication to what he believes the NA scene deserves. NACT would not be NACT without Mlbb. What happened to the growth of Mlbb esports, I don't think would have happened if not for what Mlbb did with his team and how he changed our perception of what Western mobile gaming esports could be. So that alone is a reason for why I think he deserves to be in this top 10, at least for me. That's my list currently, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully y'all had fun, and hopefully maybe we have a good number of similarities between our top 10 greatest lists, at least for the first half, and maybe even our honorable mentions. Did I miss out on anybody that you think could have been nominated, should have been nominated, but for one reason or another isn't there? Hope you tune in to the next video in this series, the other half, for us to round out my top 10 greatest players in the M Series history. Real quick, before we go, I'd like to give a shout out to Smart. Smart is the sponsor of the MPL and the upcoming M5 World Championships. If you guys want to go ahead and play a tournament just off the drop of a hat, and you were just scrolling, maybe you wanted to get a little competitive, maybe you win some prizes, go ahead and check out Smart Giga Arena. Go ahead to gigarena.smart and input your prepaid Smart or TNT number and get to joining tournaments, playing arcade games, maybe get a little bit of gacha, if you know what I'm saying. And this is all happening 24/7. So y'all can join in, get in on the fun for as simple as 20 pesos. GA20, Gigarena 20, it's 100 MB of data, 2 Gigarena tickets, all valid for 1 day. It's that simple. GA20, get to it. I'd also like to say thank you to Asus ROG, the official gaming phone partner of the M5 World Championships. They hooked your boy up with everything from my laptop, my portable gaming system, the Ally, to my phones. That new M5 ROG phone, by the way, running out of stocks, the most affordable ROG phone to date. Get to it. For those who dare, thank y'all so much. For y'all to be the best, you gotta play with the best. That's what Asus Republic of Gamers is all about. Before we wrap up, I'd like to say thank you to my editor, Ray Ash G. Get to it. Follow him on social media. And before I forget, check out my new website, www.leocasts.ph. Let me know what you think. Scroll through, go click around the website, and maybe if you're watching this and you're interested to work with me, hey, let's work together, all right? I'll see you on the next video. Peace.